Well, February 2018, me and you do our first interview over the phone while you're still in prison. And then September of that same year, you get out after doing 26 years. Now, when you go in, Michael Jackson's still alive. There's no such thing as an iPhone. The internet is still kind of, I mean, the browser I don't think has been invented yet.
Nothing.
You come out to a planet that's totally different than when you went in. What was the hardest adjustment coming out of prison?
I think humans, adjusting to the humans. But the hardest adjustment was adjusting to societal norms and subtleties that you can't know without being in it. Like I'm grabbing something at the grocery store and somebody just decide to touch me and reach across me to pick up an item. It's like damn, their space economy, respect for space was lacking out here. The way people speak, the recklessness with their fucking mouths. People say shit and you be like, damn, people who ain't built like that, say some shit that'd be like, damn, that would have got you fucked up. Like, it's interesting. But to humanize this shit and get off, fuck that robo gangster shit. Like, fuck that shit. The truth of the matter, I had to go through, but so indeterminate sentences and determinate sentences. If you got sentenced to 5 years and you go to prison and you're a complete fuck up, you're going home in 5 years unless you commit a crime and they give you more time. You have to commit a crime, get arrested in there, be prosecuted, have a district attorney and a judge, get sentenced, and go back to the yard with 3-4 more extra years. If you don't do that, you could beat a nigga up. It's boys will be boys. You lost 30 days a yard, you back outside, and you going home in 5 years. It's called maxing out. If you're an indeterminate sentence, though, you got to go to board, and the board has to determine if you're going to get out or not. And then when you go home, you're on life or parole, so you still have life. If you get in trouble, anything that happens, anything, if you have a nexus to your crime of violence and you beat somebody up, 7-year denial. The same board that gave Manson 15 years and let him die in that cell. Same people. So that's another one of my pet peeves with these niggas. There's nobody in the history of hip hop who had an indeterminate sentence, did 26 years, was a high notoriety public interest case designation. Only me, Tukey, and Monster Cody out of the blacks in the history of CDCR. Now, none of these niggas, none of them had indeterminate sentences. None of them had a life sentence. None of them. So I don't like that shit. I'm tired of that shit. And for the record, nigga, it's just me. It was just me. I need to be separated from that and get a nigga that got life, whether he was a rapper or not, and came home and let that nigga talk about what the fuck we go through. And I got one here that could do it. You know.
Well, Freeway Ricky Ross, he had life at one point. He beat it.
Did he have life?
Yeah.
I know he was he had a federal case, right?
Think so.
Real.
Yeah, Unc been good to me. Unc ain't never been funny with me. Him and Burner had a great conversation about me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have nothing to say about Unc's circumstance and where he went and where he did his time, but I can tell you that he's been very respectful in his communications in regard to me, him and Burner. There's videos of them having very frank conversations about their perception of my reality versus these niggas' fiction. And so I give salute to Unc, much love to Freeway Rick. But so you were at February, we do an interview 2018.
Yes. Now you're out and you're getting adjusted to people not respecting your personal space, not being polite. And listen, I've interviewed guys like Blue Boy who gets out of prison, and I said, how do you deal with people not giving the same type of respect? He ends up getting into it with someone, a while later after our interview, ends up pulling out a gun and shooting him, and now he's back in prison again. It's, it's one of those things where it is an adjustment period, but you can't act the same way that you do in prison out here because you'll go right back to prison. So you get out in 2018, 2019, you release California Dreamin'.
Yeah. 2019, California Dreamin'. In 2018, right. I dropped The Execution of X-Rated.
Got it. Then you start appearing on tracks with Corrupt, and Tech-9.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2022, you actually signed to Strange Music.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you were saying, it was an interview I read where you were hanging out with Tech-9 on March 1st of 2022 when you find out that you're off parole.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We were shooting a video for Still Right Here, like a $500,000 video, big old production. And we had broke for lunch, and we've been ignoring our phones for hours. So I'm checking my phone to see what's going on, and I get an email. An email came in while I had my phone in my hand, and I clicked it. And that motherfucker opened up, and it was my PO, and he was like, "Congratulations, you are no longer on parole." And to put that in perspective, like if I ran a red light and an officer was having a bad day, I would have went back to prison with a life sentence. With a life sentence. I had a life sentence to the day I got that email. I still had life. And so I would have went back, and I think Barry was telling me it's people still in there. But I got one of my big homies, Dooney's co-defendant. One of my big homies is still there, the founding father of 24th Street. And he telling me people coming back for violations, and they've been there 3-4 years, and they ain't never been seen. They don't have no priority to see you. So I would have went back, just had life, and maybe did 5-6 years, and the board decided when my name came up to come and bring me in there and ask me why I did whatever they done, why you run the red light or whatever. Like, so I was vulnerable and walking on eggshells, and my family members are known gang members, but that's one of my parole conditions because I was on high power parole as a public interest case and a high notoriety case. So with those factors, I'm shocked, man. By the grace of God is what the fuck happened. That's what I think. The fact that I made it off parole, man. So I stood there, I probably was white as a ghost. That nigga Tech was like, "You all right, man?" He put his hand on my shoulder. That made it worse. I look at him, because I love that nigga, man. I look at him, and he was like, "What happened, man?" And I said, "Man, I'm off parole, bro. I'm free, man. I'm free." And we just stood there. He was like, "Man, that's big, dog." That nigga was choked up. I just stood there for about 5 minutes and went and finished fucking filming my dope ass video for Still Right Here with Tech. Yep, but that's what that was. Shout out to the homie C-Mob. You good, big homie? That's called love. That's called love right there. That man is emotionally overwhelmed. I'm one of his baby boys. While I was in there being a dumbass, this beautiful man told me to take my ass to school. He told me, "Take your ass to them self-help groups." I used to sneak on the phone and get on Facebook, and I would see the big homie at San Quentin living his life and being a leader. This beautiful motherfucker that was a leader in my community too. And went to prison, and it is what it is. And just playing baseball, they doing documentaries about him. We call him the athlete in the hood. This nigga could play everything. Nigga whoop you at marbles, whatever. If it's round, he gonna win. And he was the one who told me. My big homie Barry taught me how to stay alive. Taught me how to make a knife. He taught me tactical, strategic self-defense. Dooney taught me that, and he taught me how to educate myself and began the mustard seed to start my faith that I might actually get out of prison. It was Dooney to tell me, "Nigga, you ain't this shit. God is bigger than all this shit. Don't you believe these motherfuckers? To keep doing what you supposed to do. Handle your business." And I believed him. And I took my ass to anger management. And I really did it too. I ain't going there playing. So like as a lifer, you got to go through a forensic psychologist. I got to go through a Hannibal Lecter and Clarice Starling type shit. You got to score 25 or lower on a psychopathy exam, and I scored 24. And if you score anything above that, your ass is staying where you are. So I scored a point lower than where I needed to be in order for the forensic psychologist to say that I did not pose a unreasonable risk for violent recidivism in the community. This is different than you can beat a nigga up the day you getting out of prison and they gotta let you go if you maxed out and he didn't bleed. If he didn't need a suture, he could bleed, But if he don't need a suture or a stitch, that's not a crime. That's just a fight. Fighting is the rule. Then assault and battery is the rule. So yeah, Dooney told me, take your ass in there. You know, don't just hang out on the monkey bars, go to school. I went to anger management, really did it. I went to the mindfulness meditation group, it really did it. Lyle and Eric Menendez had me participating in groups. I went from smuggling equipment into the institution to building studios on the facility, right? With the permission of the warden, by understanding politics and how to use my notoriety to benefit myself and my community, and not just trying to do some criminal gangster shit in that environment, because it wasn't about that. So like, I got some anger, Vlad. I've been holding on to letting niggas just talk reckless until I got off parole. I couldn't defend myself without being facing the potential of going back to prison for the rest of my life. But so through that anger though, while we talking about anger management, and it need to be understood that this is a beautiful thing that happened. This wasn't just no gangster shit. It was the most gangster thing about it is how positive it became, how beautiful it became. So yeah, I did come home and have to adjust to the fact that I had an idealistic view of the world. I had made up what I thought about reality. I didn't know that. I was one of the niggas chained up in Plato's cave, staring at the shadows, trying to define some shit that I didn't know what I was talking about. And so I came out here, and Commissioner Roberts told me before I left, he said, unfortunately, you're gonna meet people who didn't get in enough trouble to have to get the education you got. So your neighbor might be an asshole who never got in enough trouble to have to get treated for that. And you're gonna have to be smart for both of y'all. You're gonna have to think for both of y'all. And I heard him, but it wasn't until I got out here that I realized, damn, everything I think about relationships was bullshit. Everything I think about how people treat people was bullshit. Kindness, the people's responses to kindness, the fucking phones, everybody, people, I'm in a room with kids and they texting each other, and this one giggle and that one start giggling. And I'm like, you motherfuckers talking to each other? Like, why don't y'all just talk to each other, cuz? Just put the phones down and talk to each other. It was weird for me, man. I literally, like you said, I left, it was Flintstones. I came home, it was the Jetsons.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's why I started with the song. I say I'm Marty McFly. You know what I mean? You doper than me if you say so, faithful. I'm wearing all black in this bitch. Hard to describe the way I survived it, was able to rise like the past don't exist. I'm Marty McFly in the DeLorean looking for Doc, aftermath in this bitch. I was ruthless. If face it death row, then I beat a life sentence. I'm lit like a match in this bitch. Like, I really mean that shit. I'm Marty McFly. Feel like I went back to the future like a motherfucker. This shit is bananas, Vlad.
Well, X-Rated, man, I'm glad that you're out, because like I said, beginning of the interview, when we did our interview, I didn't know whether you were never getting out. And now you're out, and hip-hop has embraced you. You're signed to N9ne. You have songs with Rakim, with Method Man, with Joyner Lucas, with
King
Conway
Crook.
the Machine.
King Crook, nigga, East Side.
King Crooked, my homie.
Razzcast, my brother,
legends,
T-Nutty,
man.
nigga. Macintosh, Bleezo, Gormblock, Sibo coming. Here come Brother Lynch. It's up. It's up.
It's what it is, man. I'm glad you are where you are, man, and just enjoy the rest of your life. Don't let anyone trick you out of your freedom. And man, until next time, it's been a pleasure.
I appreciate you, Vlad.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Peace.